It's a time of the month where the nerds congregate and talk about the sales in the automotive industry. Toyota, Honda, Subaru, Mazda crushing it right now. The Koreans sinking a bit. I mean, Tesla is as well. Most of the other manufacturers that are not Japanese are actually not doing as hot. Today, we're going to break it down. Grab your snacks and drinks, buckle in, and let's get into it. Don't worry, because we're going to individually break down Honda, Mazda, Subaru, Hyundai, Kia. I don't have individual figures for Toyota because they post quarterly, but we'll head into those here in a little bit. But let's get back into the main breakdown here. We're going to start off with Toyota, the largest automaker in the world, previous largest automaker, the best-selling automaker in the United States as of, I think, last year, maybe the year before. But of course, General Motors took their title back. But Toyota Motor Corp, for 6 straight months now, has had a double-digit increase. Honda has edged up. Honda, it's a tale of two stories because Acura is floundering seemingly right now. Honda's surging ahead. We'll get more into that in a little bit. For Toyota, volume rose 14% to 211,000 units, with electrified vehicle sales jumping 56% to 77,000. Guys, I'm going to pull this up. 77 divided by 211. It's only 36% of their, I guess, fleet in the United States that is hybrid. But check this out. My projections, and let's see here. It's about the same as it was in Q1, so that's continuing for Q2. But my projections, once the Camry is in full production hybrid, it'll be up to about 50% in Q1 of next year. And in Q1 of 2026, they'll be already up to 62% of electrified vehicle penetration here in the United States. It's going to happen lightning fast. So make sure you are subscribed, because it'll be very fun to see how Toyota changes as a more electrified company here in the United States. Sales increased 15% the Toyota division and only about 5% at Lexus, overall 14%. Top sellers for Toyota, Camry. Well, it's down 5.4% as they're switching over to the new generation. Watch my driving impressions of the new Camry. It's unbelievably good. It's hard to believe, actually, how good it is for the money. It's better than the new Prius easily, and it is a better buy than the Lexus ES, and it's pretty much the best Camry. Sorry, it's the best Camry ever, as long as you don't need straight line speed with the V6, and it is probably the best Toyota in the lineup. That's not on the truck platform. That's apples to oranges at this point, but that's how good it is. I can gush about the Camry. We can't wait for new Corolla, but we're probably 2 years out. The Corolla, though, is up 34%. The RAV4 up 29%. A lot of those sales being hybrid at this point in time. New RAV4 will be out by next year, so expect a reveal by the end of this year. I will bring it to you guys. Prius down 33%. That's a big what the F. But you got to remember, the Prius just got recalled in Japan. They stopped production on it, and it's a mess. And they got recalled because of the door handles not working properly. Tacoma down 26%. I think in the first quarter, there was down like 45 to 55%. So production's getting better on that vehicle. I have a Tacoma competitor in the driveway right now, a ZR2 Bison AEV Colorado. It's pretty cool truck. So wait for my comparison, because I just drove a TRD Pro Tacoma recently, and they're essentially the same price. $65,000 for a mid-sized pickup truck is bonkers, but it is cool. Toyota said it ended April with 17,000 cars and trucks in stock. So only a 26-day supply. Lexus has a 41-day supply, and Toyota starting May with a 23-day supply. So essentially, they're all pre-sold when they're selling that fast. Honda said deliveries rose 3.2% for Honda, slipped 21% at Acura. My review of the ZDX goes live at the time this recording, about a half an hour. Make sure to watch my driving impressions of the ZDX, but I guess I can put this up post-embargo. I like the ZDX. It is like an electric MDX, but lower and with 2 rows of seats, and it's faster. So there you have it. It's fine. It's Acura's 4th straight monthly decline. Honda brand inventories closed at 110,000, down from 116,000 for the month, but up from 38,000 at the end of April of 2023. Hyundai and Kia posted slightly lower U.S. sales in April. We'll break them down more in a little bit, but sales dropped 3.1% for Hyundai, following 2 consecutive monthly gains. Tucson was off 16%, Santa Fe down 11%. Well, Tucson's getting a refresh, so there's probably some switch over there. The Santa Fe is getting a redesign, so there's some switch over there. Elantra off 24%. That's also recently refreshed, but I've been seeing a ton of the refreshes on the road, so production volume must be down on the Elantra. Hyundai said EV sales rose 26%, so the Ioniq 5 was up nearly 60%, and hybrids advanced 29%. And I'm excited to see what the Ioniq 6 is going to be. Kia dropped 3.6% in its 5th straight monthly decline, but they set a monthly EV sales record, so you got to look at the silver linings there. So they sold over 5,000 EV6s. Genesis had a streak of 17 consecutive months of gains, and they fell 6% to 5,500 in April. So their sales volume has kind of plateaued at this point. U.S. light vehicle sales are going to drop 2% in April. That's the expectation once all the results are in. Acura down 12.5% on the year. The month of April, though, they're down 21%. I'm excited to see, like, I know what's not doing well for them, but I'm not excited to see it. It's almost lamenting to see it, but I'm interested to see it. Honda up 3.2% on the month, up 16% on the year so far. Genesis down 6% on the month, just barely above on the year. Hyundai, well, it's like the Hyundai and Kia in general is just slightly down on the year so far, but very surprising that Hyundai had so many months of consecutive growth. Now we see a decline, so the market is slowing down. Subaru not slowing down. They're actually speeding up. They're up 7% on the year, but up 9.5% on the month. Lexus slowing down a little bit here. We saw the inventory swelling a little bit to about 2 months at this point, compared to Toyota's less than 1 month. But Lexus up 12% on the year, up 5% on the month. Toyota up 20% on the year and 15% on the month. And there's a big article here talking about Toyota and Tesla in California. I'll probably make a separate video if I have time for that. But very interesting things going on with Tesla right now. Toyota Motor overall up 13% on the month when you account for Lexus. So overall, the OEMs reporting are up about 5% on the month, up 10% on the year, but Lexus and Toyota and Honda are the ones really pulling the market in the positive. And Subaru, don't forget Subaru. Subaru's doing really, really well. Subaru's healthy right now. You know, Subaru has a good mix of reliability and low cost of ownership. And getting into your Subaru is not that much. They're one of the cheapest brands on the market, if not the cheapest brand. It used to be like Kia. No, Subaru's been able to keep their prices down. They don't have any exorbitantly expensive models at the top, and like Kia does with the EV9, for example, or they just don't have. I just drove the Solterra, and I'm surprised how many people watched that video. It's not a bad EV if you're leasing it. But all right, let's keep going. Let's go right into Honda here. We're going to look at individual car sales because that's what I'm most interested in. The Accord? What is happening to the Accord? It's down 12% on the year and down 35% on the month. What in the world? Now, I just made a video recently how the new Camry is better than the Accord in just about every conceivable way. This is not looking good for the Accord. So I don't know if if Accords are just sitting on the lot. I need to look this up. There's about a 50-50 split here. So there's about 7,800 Accord non-hybrids, which only accounts for 2 trim levels. And there's about 7,500 Accord hybrids. So there's actually more availability on the 2 base grades than there is on the hybrid grade, or should I say the 4 hybrid grades, if I remember right. There's a lot of Accords sitting out on the lots right now across the United States, about 15,000 of them. Just in my area, there are 500. Very high number. They are sitting around at lots at this point in time, I would say. Let's go ahead and look at 150 miles from me for the non-hybrid and about 400. The demand for the Accord, the original buyers, should I say the early adopters, have already bought, and the rest of the Accords seemingly are sitting around on lots at this point. Wow, I didn't realize it was going to have such a drop in demand compared to last year when the new Accord hit, but Anyways, the Civic, the new Civic, I should call it new. It's been out for 3 years now. It is fantastic. It is a much better car than Accord. And the new Civic is kind of what the old Accords used to be in size. Civic is more fun to drive. It's better looking and it's a better car overall. So the Civic, maybe Honda should be like boosting up the Civic as much as possible. Once we get the Civic Hybrid, what's the point of the Accord unless you need to fit really big people in the back seat? Or you need a massive trunk. Anyways, long live the Civic at this point. The Accord is almost dead to me, but the Civic is a smashing car. All right, the CR-V up 28%. Good for the CR-V. The CR-V is a fantastic SUV. Good looks, handles well. The hybrid's really, really solid and really smooth and quiet and fairly efficient. So nice job, Honda, with the CR-V. The HR-V, I'm seeing them everywhere right now. The HR-V is crushing it. So CR-V, Civic, HR-V is pulling the brand along here. The Pilot is doing great. Passport is a sinking ship until they come out with a new one, which is going to be more off-road focused. And seemingly the Ridgeline is sinking too. Both of them need to be redesigned. The Odyssey will be getting a refresh, and the Odyssey is just kind of cruising along because minivan demand is pretty, well, there's just so few players, right? There's only like 4 minivans on the market, and the Odyssey is one of the best. So it's down 10% on the year, but it's having a pretty solid month right now. The Integra, the Integra demand has fallen off of a cliff, down about 30% on the month and down 20% on the year. The TLX demand has also fallen off a cliff, seemingly minus 64% on the month and down 40% on the year. The only thing I can think of, there's a mild refresh on the TLX, so maybe there's some production issues there, but that's really hard to believe. MDX as well, down 27%. Guys, the MDX is their cash cow. This is their best-selling vehicle of all time for the brand, and when that's not selling well, you have problems. Down 29% on the month, down 27% on the year. The Acura RDX up though. So the RDX was suffering through the pandemic and sales were really poor on it, but it looks like for some reason they're able to sell a bunch of these right now. And that's carrying the Acura brand. Guys, because the rest of the Acuras are minus 26 for the Integra, minus 60% for the TLX, minus 25% or so for the MDX, and the RDX is about 35, up about 35 to 40%. If the RDX wasn't doing well, the entire brand would be underwater at this point compared to where it was last year. I'm really concerned at this point a little bit for Acura. Let's see how long it will go, but what do they have coming? Well, they have the ZDX that I just talked about. That's not gonna be like a volume seller per se. It'll keep some people in the brand, and it is cool looking. I think it will help initially. Long term, after the initial buyers for the ZDX pan out, what will you have left? Not sure. We're gonna keep on moving though to Mazda. Mazda reports April sales. Best ever sales for the CX-30. That car is crushing it for them. People need more affordable vehicles, and the CX-30 is pretty solid as long as you're a smaller person, because it's hard for me to fit in there. I will gladly be suffocated inside of a Miata because it's the most fun vehicle for the money. Anyways, watch my review on the Miata. I just reviewed the ND3. Best ever sales for the CX-50. Volumes getting improved at the new Alabama plant that is shared with Toyota. Best ever sales of the CX-90, but the CX-90 hasn't been on sale in full volume for a year yet. And second best April for CPO program. Mazda's the only one that talks about CPO. So the Mazda 3 sedan, I will be reviewing one in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. It is actually up. I'm about 33%. The hatchback, though, down about 30%. Overall, the Mazda 3, as a result, is down 3% on the month, up 26% on the year. So it's having a nice rebound year. MX-5 Miata, down 11% on the month, down 37% on the year. The reason is they switched over to the refreshed model, and I'm sure that hurt production. It's got a new limited slip rear differential, as well as some other cool gadgets on it with technology and revised suspension, things like that. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. So the hardtop is actually up 20%. For the month. The soft top down 33%. Soft top is my recommendation out of the two. It's cheaper, lighter, slightly more trunk space and better viewing angles and easier to put up the top. Some people get wind buffeting on the hardtop as well. CX-30 absolutely slaying it. Could you imagine if there was a hybrid CX-30 to compete against the Corolla Cross Hybrid, which I'm going to be reviewing the Corolla Cross Hybrid in the coming weeks or so. So stay tuned for that. It's been a while since I've driven one. But the CX-30 is slaying it. The CX-5 is down. Mazda doesn't need to ship as many over because the CX-50 is going to fill that niche. So like the CX-5 is it just like a complete coincidence that the CX-5 is down 22% and the CX-50 is up 21%? Mazda knows very well what's going on with the CX-50, so they can supplement. They don't have to bring in as many CX-5s as a result. They don't have to ship them across the world from Japan, even though I believe the CX-5 is a much better vehicle than the CX-50. It doesn't look as cool. It is a better vehicle, especially for taller people don't have a lot of headroom in certain situations. CX-90, it's up 337%. Of course, it's going to be its best April ever. It's up 1,000% on the year because it wasn't sold into the first part of last year. So it's kind of hard to take numbers here, but the CX-70, am I reading this right? The CX-70 here has already sold some units. I didn't know it was on sale already. Maybe these are sold to employees. I will be driving the CX-70 in just a couple of weeks though. I don't know what's going on there. If we look at the CX-9, sales volume had already dropped last year on it as they were getting ready for the CX-90. So I really wish I had previous year CX-9 volume here, but it looks like the CX-90 is just slightly ahead of where the CX-9 was a year ago by 500 units or whatever. So Mazda's actually down 3.8%. If I go back to automotive news and Mazda, I didn't even talk about Mazda here. Okay, they're up on the year, down on the month. Yeah, Mazda sales did not rise in April. So that's what threw me off. This is the title just needs to be reworked from automotive news. So Mazda sales fell in April. They are up on the year. So Mazda's cooling off now. That is very interesting. We know Honda's cooling off. Acura has been cool for a while. Hyundai and Kia are cooling off. What about Subaru? Subaru, not so fast. No, they're saying, hey, we're up 10% on the month of April. Forester up 85% as we get ready for the new Forester. I can't wait to drive it, especially the hybrid when it's available. Who knows when it will be available? Using Toyota's hybrid technology with their Boxer engine. Best ever month for the Solterra, and 21 consecutive months of monthly year-over-year growth. All right, so let's pump this up. Let's zoom in. The Subaru Ascent down 16% on the year, whereas in the month 15% on the year. That vehicle, it's just not competitive unless you get a screaming deal on it. BRZ down 65% on the month. There have been issues in the plants over in Japan. An employee got smashed in a press, 60-year-old man, and he passed away. So that might have something to do with some of these numbers of the vehicles built in Japan, like the BRZ. The Crosstrek up 17% on the month, down 2% on the year, but it's headed in the right direction. Forester is just a monster right now, up 85% on the month. 85%. That is mind-blowing. The last vehicle we saw that high up on the month, that's not a CX-90, was maybe like the HRV up 55%, the Civic up about 40%, CX-30 up about 29%. So Subaru Forester just doesn't make sense why it's just blowing everyone else out of the water. Impreza, well, it's only the hatchback now, but it's down 27%. And the Legacy has just been discontinued, even though they'll finish out this model year, the 2025 model year. But rest in peace, Legacy. Watch my video on that. Outback, minus 14%. This is typically right up there with sales on the Forester. But Subaru seems to be switching some of that production to the Forester. It's a little bit more affordable in today's market, so that makes a lot of sense to me. I like the Forester better than the Outback anyway, so I think it's a good move. The Solterra up 141% on the month, up 32% on the year. Not a bad EV as long as you're driving it in town, and make sure to lease it. Do not purchase a Solterra. WRX down 30% on the month. You can probably find some screaming deals on WRXs right now. Moving on to Hyundai, down 3% on the month, similar to Mazda. However, unlike Mazda, who is up on the year, Hyundai's actually down 7% on the year right now. All right, Elantra down 20% on the year, 24% on the month. Ioniq 5 up 60% on the month, 31% on the year. And this is where Hyundai's like, hey, our sales aren't great across the board, but they're really good for their EVs and their hybrids. Ioniq 6 up 41%, up 341% on the year. The Kona, the new Kona, get the CVT base engine. Don't buy the turbo. It's pretty laggy. Or buy the Kona EV, or lease the Kona EV. But the base Kona with the CVT is a good vehicle. Up 20% on the year, up 21% on the month. Nexo, pretty much rest in peace, fuel cells, even though Toyota's doubling down on it in California. Palisade, up 31%. This is going to, this vehicle just prints money for the brand. Santa Cruz down 18%. If the Santa Cruz had an efficient hybrid to compete with the Maverick, it would be doing better, but it is what it is. Santa Fe down 11% for the month as they get ready for the new ones on the road. I've been seeing actually quite a feew on the road. Cassie's seen them on the road. She liked them. She liked it. And then I showed her, we found another one on the road later and we saw it from behind. She's like, I don't like it. So, I mean, that's pretty much everyone's opinion on the back end of that vehicle. Anyways, it's a really good car. It's a fantastic car as long as you can live with the rear end of it. And I can't wait for the hybrid Santa Fe. Can't wait to drive that. Sonata up 14% on the month with the new refresh. And the Tucson minus 16% on the month with a refresh looming or currently hitting the dealers. Just a slight refresh. Same thing with the Santa Cruz, right? The Santa Cruz is getting a minor refresh. And then the Venue, people need more cheap cars, but Hyundai doesn't seem to be sending a whole lot from Korea to the United States. Moving on to Kia, best all-time EV sales for Kia here in America. Best ever April for Carnival, Telluride, and Sportage. All right, now Kia's infamous for never giving us percentages here. EV9 year to date, well, it's just started, but they've sold 5,500 EV9s to date. Just wait a year or so after the initial buyers fall off, and then you can probably lease them for dirt cheap. EV6 you can also lease for pretty cheap right now as well. I want to say $300 a month. But if you live in a carb state, it's even cheaper. But they're up quite a bit right now for the EV6, just like the Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6 were. Rio, rest in peace, Rio. That's hurting Kia sales too, not having that additional 7,000 units to help them out. So it looks like their sales numbers are falling. And they are. What are they down again here in the United States for the month of April? 3.6%. So if they had those Rio sales, they would actually be positive right now on the month of April, and they'd be positive on the year if they had those Rio sales. That's kind of disappointing for Kia, but Kia can make more money selling more expensive vehicles. Forte, up 1,000 units or so, up 4,000 units on the year. So the Forte is doing well. So that is now their entry-level vehicle. It's good to see high volume there on the Forte, which will now be the K4 with a hatchback coming very soon. Cannot wait to see that. The hatchback looks awesome, but I think it's only available in the turbo. And unless they improve the laggy response from that turbo in the 8-speed auto, it might be like, hey, like it's a cool looking car, but don't expect it to drive fun. I'd rather actually have the CVT on it, as much as heresy as that may sound. Anyways, K5, what the heck? Oh, it's because of the refresh. They haven't got the refresh up to production. That's also hurting the brand. If the K5 production was up, they would be positive as well. Soul, not doing so well on the year. That's kind of sad. It's kind of getting long in the tooth at this point, and they're probably just going to kill it off anyways. Nero, it's about neutral on the year. We need affordable hybrids, and Nero's is there. It's actually down on the year, up about a little bit on the month. Seltos, it's doing great for them. Compact crossovers. We saw the HRV doing well. We saw the Crosstrek doing well, and we saw the CX-30 doing well. So this segment right now is really hot because of it's more affordable with the interest rates going on right now. Sportage, actually it's positive on the year right now. Sportage crushing it, and we just saw that the Tucson isn't having such a good year in comparison. Its sister vehicle from Hyundai. The Sorento, I've been seeing the refreshes on the road. Sorrento's killing it right now. Good for the Sorento. The Telluride also crushing it so far this month, having a really good year overall. And Carnival, up 500 units on the month. We saw that the Odyssey was doing well on the month as well. So minivans coming into season here into spring as we head into summer, and the Carnival's up 3,000 units on the year. But that's it. That's all I have for you guys. What surprised you? Oh, my camera turned off. Out of the sales so far, I mean, the Accord for me, the sinking of Acura to me is concerning. Overall, the market cooling off. Most of these brands, right around neutral for the month or neutral for the year. Toyota still flying high, Subaru still flying high, Honda brand still staying above ground. But things are really, really cooling off for most of the automakers out there. So guys, make sure you subscribe for more industry auto news updates like this. I do it every month. It makes me so excited as I come from a sales background. That's how I got started into this YouTube stuff. And it's just me sharing my passion, my excitement with you. So I'll see you guys in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great day. Peace.